Hey, I'm Kylie Rice. I am a junior honors political science student, and this is Life of an Aggie. I would say I was inspired back during like my high school. Like all of my work in high school was just advocacy based. That's when I started One Will It End. That's just where I found my niche, I guess, for advocating and civic engagement as a whole. Um, I say coming here to A&T kind of branched me out of my shell, though. I was afforded the opportunity to, of course, serve my freshman class as freshman class president, and then I served on the Judicial Council. Now I'm the Attorney General, so all of my positions have been in line with like civic engagement and advocacy based work. Um, I don't really know what prompted me. I guess it was just the way I grew up. Like I realized when I grew up that I had a lot more resources than other people I had in my area growing up on like the north side of Atlanta. It was just a discrepancy in the way like I was raised versus some of my friends who live on the south side. So I just always felt like it was my mission and my calling to give back to those who just weren't in the same position that I was. And I think that's how I did it, through advocacy, and that's how I'm still doing it, and that's ultimately what is prompting me to do everything here at A&T. So yeah. Okay, so really my passion started, this is so crazy, but it started in 2012. So when I learned about Trayvon Martin, I was little. Like I was probably like 8 or so. I learned about Trayvon Martin and what happened to him, and then that's when like my family sat me down about like, that's when they gave me the first talk. So like the, police in America, just all that type of stuff. So that's when I had my first talk, and I realized the position that Black people were in America. So that's what kind of caused me to get into my profession. It started when I was young, and I was like, oh, I need to be a lawyer. I need to be a lawyer. So after realizing like what lawyers do, the different types of law, I geared my focus specifically to civil rights. So my ultimate career goal is to become a civil rights attorney, and I want to specialize too. Like as I said earlier, I felt like my mission and like my calling was to kind of give back to my community, especially like the way I was raised. So I like specified my work in pro bono. So that's what I want to do. I want to go back to Atlanta, like right where I grew up, give back to my community, give back to everybody around Atlanta, Georgia specifically, and just give them opportunities, resources, legal representation. And yeah, like that's where I found my interest in my career, and yeah, just giving back to my community, pro bono work specifically. Yeah, so as I said, when will it end? So that started right after George Floyd. So that happened in 2020. I started When Will It End? And the purpose was to unite our generation as a whole, but under the common cause of like preventing racial injustice in society and police brutality specifically, because that's like one of my focuses, like just police brutality, civil rights, and all of that. So I had the idea after George Floyd, like, well, on Instagram, everyone was like posting, about George Floyd, their opinions, their feelings. And as much as that was causing attention, I always like to say that there's power in numbers. So that goes here at A&T, like when we do collective work, like everything shouldn't be alone. Like you should always be in a group whenever you're trying to do something. Like that's the way that I think, because the more the merrier, the more ideas, the more input, the more support you have, and the more that you can get attention from other people. So that's why I think like protests are a good thing too, because you're getting a group of people together, rallying around a certain cause, and then advancing those next steps forward. So what will it, and it just started after George Floyd when I saw everyone posting those different things, and I was like, okay, we need to come together as a whole. As much as, we're all on our personal Instagram pages and we're doing a little something, but I think it's better if we work together as a group. So that's exactly what I did. I started the Instagram page right, like, I have to say like 3 days after, maybe. It was quick. Like I started it because I just knew like civil rights was my cause, and that's just like what I was passionate about, and it never felt like work. So that's like how you can tell you're passionate about something, like it never feels like work. And that's how I am too at A&T. Like all of my positions, they're all civic engagement, from AKA to office leadership and civic engagement to SGA. Like every position that I have here is rooted back to civic engagement in some way. So that's how I never feel like I'm working. But yeah, Wimbledon, and it was during COVID too. So COVID was a time where all of us were on social media too, since like nobody could go anywhere. And yeah, I just had the idea. I introduced it to my Instagram, like my main page, and I was like, hey guys, like I want to start When Will It End? Because like seriously, like when will any of this end? And we need to talk about it. We need to rally together. We need to come up with solutions. And most importantly, we need to educate. So the platform is like rooted on education. So I post about all types of things, just different things that are regarding civil rights, and it just has to do with like educating the public around me. And that's just one of my causes, I think, too, like education, because you gotta know. You just gotta know things in life. You gotta know what's going on in the world, and you just gotta be educated. So I started that, posted a few times. I also streamed some protests, because I hosted some protests in Roswell, Georgia, where I'm from. I also hosted a protest at the Capitol in Atlanta. And yeah, I would just stream them. I'd invite special guests too to come on my lives and just explain to people, educate them about what's going on, the state of America that we're in, and then just ways that we need to, advocate, put ourselves out there, and then advance our causes. So yeah, I think that was I'm really proud of that. Like that was a good move.
Okay.
When Will It End is one of my accomplishments. I have a lot. I'm not going to lie. Like, I have a lot of things that I'm proud about. I'd say When Will It End is one of my first accomplishments just in high school. Like, being able to put myself out there and rally people together, understand, like, what I'm passionate about and go for it. I'd say another one of my accomplishments that I'm proud of is last year winning the Excellence in Political Engagement Award for A&T. Like, it's always nice to be noticed. Like, it's always nice for people to say, like, you're doing great. Like, that pat on the back sometimes is really needed, especially when you feel like, am I doing enough? Like, is anyone learning anything from what I'm doing? So I felt like it was really good to be noticed from the Office Leadership and Civic Engagement, for them to recognize me, the work that I'm doing, the passion that I have, and the drive. And then also I'd say I'm proud about when I came to A&T and I ran for freshman class president, not because of the title that I had, but just the fact that I was able to put myself out there at a young age too, because I graduated high school a year early. So then I turned 17 right before my high school graduation, and then I came to college as a fresh 17. So just putting myself out there when I'm like probably one of the youngest in my class, like it was just nerve-wracking, but I was super proud of myself for standing on what I believed in, putting myself out there, advocating for other people, and then just meeting people in my class, because that's also hard too, just to like put yourself out there and socialize in college. So I would say that's like some of the 3 things that I'm proudest about here at A&T. Yeah. So everything that I do, I have my end goal like in mind. So I don't ever say yes to anything that I don't think that can like benefit me or I can benefit in. It's like kind of a mutual relationship thing. So if we're both gaining from this, then like I'm definitely down to do it. But if I feel like it's just like busy work or an extra task or something like that, then like I'm probably not going to do it. And that goes earlier, as I said, like for my organizations, like everything that I join, it's for the same purpose. So that's how I think I manage my day-to-day life. Like, I just make sure that everything I'm doing it with passion, so then it doesn't feel like work. And that's from my major to my courses to all my orgs that I'm involved in. So yeah, I just keep it all rooted around civic engagement, because I know at the end of the day, these experiences, these people, just all of this stuff will definitely get me where I want to go in life, and I'll enjoy myself while doing it. So this is hard. I think one of the biggest things I learned, especially when I was freshman class president and just being new here, everyone being new here, and we're all trying to manage everything, I think I learned that being a good leader is being a good listener. So that's just not me always doing what I want to do or what I think is best for everyone, but hearing concerns of other people, understanding where they're coming from, compromising, because that's one of the biggest things in leadership. Like, you're not going to have your way and they're not going to have their way, but it's about compromising. And it's not about leading from the front either. Like, you're not the end all be all for everyone. And I feel like that was kind of hard for me to understand at first. Like, the pressure, like when I was freshman class president, it was like, you're the face of the class, you're going to do everything for the class. And I was like, whoa, like, no, I'm not. Like, and it's just being realistic. Like, you need to know what you can do and what you can't do, and you can't make false promises. So you can't tell someone that you're going to change the world and then, you know, you have to take steps to get there. It's not, you're not going to wake up next day and everything's going to be peaches and cream. So I would just say it's about learning, being a good listener, and then trial and error too. Like, you're not going to get it right the first time. You're always going to be learning. You're always going to be finding something new about the people who you're working with. And yeah, it's just about listening to other people, hearing their concerns, compromising. Yeah. Wow. In full transparency, A&T was not my first school of choice. So I only applied to, I think, 5 HBCUs during like the college application process. And once again, it was COVID and all that. So I knew I wanted to go to a HBCU. I knew that in high school, and when I was younger, I wanted to go to a PWI. That I wanted to go to LSU. Like, that, when I was growing up, that was my dream school because I was a gymnast. So I was just like, I need to be where the best gymnasts are, and that was at LSU at the time. Well, I thought. So I realized that I wanted to go to an HBCU, and I think I applied to FAMU, A&T, Howard, Hampton, and Spelman. And I got into all of them, and then it was between Howard and here. So Howard has always just been my dream school, and growing up in Atlanta, there's always some sort of pipeline to Howard. I'm not really sure what that's about, but it's like Atlanta to Howard. That's just like a thing there. So I always knew about Howard. I didn't want to go to Spelman. That was too close to home. I was like, 30 minutes, 25 without traffic. Like, no, I'm not, no. So yeah, it was between here and Howard. I based it on my financial aid package. So Howard gave me a little something, but then A&T reached out with one of their full ride scholarships. So it was called the Lewis and Elizabeth Dowdy Scholarship. 20 people from every incoming class were able to get it. It was based on like leadership, GPA, willingness to work, all of that stuff. So I was like, okay, guys, if I get the full ride, I'm going to go to A&T, but if not, I'm going to go to Howard, so get your paychecks ready. And funny enough, I got the email that was like, congratulations, you've been selected one of the 20, and we'd love to have you at A&T. So I got my full ride here, and I was like, I need to go there. I need to go where the money resides. So I didn't know much about A&T or like the culture of A&T because like I haven't been following it my whole life. Like A.G.I.E was the first time that I've ever been to like an A&T homecoming. Like I never grew up coming to any of this. Like so that was just, it was a shock, I guess. So I didn't really know what to expect here at A&T. As you know, like I just didn't know anything about the school, even though it's the largest HBCU. Like where you live tells it all about you. So since I lived in Atlanta, I was only familiar with like Clark, Spelman, Morehouse, and then Howard. So I just didn't even know about A&T, and I didn't know about all the resources it had, all the people it had, and all of the programs too. So I would just say that A&T has really been able to pour into me like since I've stepped foot on this campus. I think like all the faculty, the staff, professors, like everyone has been able to wrap their arms around me, and I wouldn't change my decision for anything. Like I think this was a great decision for me. I think it definitely pushed me too, especially since I'm in the political science field here, and there's not a whole bunch of people in that department. Like this is an engineering school, so the most people that you're gonna run into are like STEM based people. So I think this was good to kind of help A&T's program as well as them pour into me, and I'm kind of like a guinea pig in that department. So seeing what works, what doesn't work, and A&T definitely values like every student that they have. So I felt like I've been heard. They, you know, pour into me, as I said, and yeah, I feel like this was a great decision. The opportunities too, like A&T has definitely been giving me a lot of opportunities, just from SGA to just anything that I do. Like I think A&T has been just a great school for me, a great decision, and yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm gonna always rep my A in front of my G. I would tell them to chase after it. Like, I know how cliche that cliche? I don't know. Cliche. I know how cliche that is. But if you don't get it, then no one will. Like, that's just how I am with like everything I go for. I know like if I don't do it, then who will? And yeah, that's just like everything in life. Like you have to go after it, especially at A&T with it being one of the biggest schools. Like nobody's gonna hand it to you. Like you gotta work for the position, you gotta work for your classes, you gotta work for everything here. So yeah, I would just tell people to go after what they believe in and then take the first step, because it always starts with the first step. It always starts with meeting somebody new. Yeah, and put yourself out there. It's easier said than done, but especially like, you know, during those first few days in the semester when everyone is like bubbly and ready to interact, like definitely like make your mark then, and try to meet as many people as possible. Introduce yourself to your professors too. That can go a long way. And yeah, I would just say going after what you believe in and taking that first step. So yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure you follow at When Will It End 2020 on Instagram.